I am quitting sugar for 30 days, but more specifically, I'm quitting having free and added sugar. Now, the question is why? We will get to that, but first let's talk some science. This is the amount of sugar that should be in a healthy person's blood. And let's say you have a small 45-gram dairy milk chocolate bar. Well, if you do that, then you add this much sugar to your bloodstream. Right, then after that you feel a bit tired, so you decide to have a can of Coca-Cola. Well, this is how much sugar you add to your bloodstream. Now, this isn't to say that what we generally imagine as being unhealthy foods and drinks are solely responsible for raising your blood sugar. Now, this is because eating just about anything will increase the sugar in your blood by a certain extent. For example, hey, well, it's time for a proper meal now, and soon after your delicious chocolate and a can of Coke, you decide to have some white rice with, well, whatever you have white rice with. And, well, solely from that white rice, you're adding this much sugar to your blood. Congratulations. Now, we often tend to think of sugar as being solely present in foods and drinks that taste sweet. For example, fizzy drinks, chocolates, donuts, ice creams, things we all love. But the term sugar is actually anything that contains monosaccharides. Now, monosaccharides include glucose, fructose, and galactose. So let's talk about white rice again. White rice is mainly composed of starch, and starch is essentially made of several long chains of glucose. And when your body digests white rice, your blood sugar increases because of that glucose. Seeing this visual of having such an incredibly high amount of sugar can feel a bit scary, but fortunately your body has a very interesting way of reducing your blood sugar. So enter the main character for this video, insulin. That is insulin. Not really, that's not actually what insulin looks like, that is just an oversimplification, but that will do. So this is an oversimplification of the process, but every time your body digests larger food molecules into smaller ones, such as sugar, the sugar enters your bloodstream. And when this happens, your body's endocrine system detects this increase in blood sugar. Let's say this is what the sugar looks like, that's that sugar. And every single time this happens, it stimulates the release of a hormone called insulin. And now insulin is in your bloodstream. The important thing to know is your bloodstream is connected to the cells of your body. This is your blood, you know, this little cylindrical thing. And these are your cells. There are trillions of cells in your body, these are 6. And what insulin does is it binds to the receptors, these receptors. Now these receptors are essentially complementary to the shape of insulin. It doesn't look like this, once again, it's a lot more complex, but however, insulin binds to these receptors as so, and when this happens, this allows for the cells to take up glucose. Glucose enter the cell. Very good, your blood sugar has been reduced. Now this is truly an amazing process, one that is critical to our survival, because if our blood sugar content isn't lowered after having a meal, it can be bad. Very, 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 very bad. Now this is truly an amazing process, one that is critical to our survival, because if our blood sugar content isn't lowered after having a meal, it can be bad. Very bad, in fact. Now sometimes the cell in a person's body can develop insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance is what happens when the cells in your body do not respond well to the hormone insulin. Essentially, when the hormone insulin tries to bind to the receptors on your cells, these receptors do not recognize insulin. And as a result, the cells cannot take up sugar. Now, ultimately, this means sugar is not reaching your cells, and as a result, your blood sugar remains very high for a prolonged period of time. And that is not good. And insulin resistance can cause type 2 diabetes, and this is where your blood sugar levels remain too high for a prolonged period of time. And the fact is, having a diet of highly processed, high carbohydrate foods and saturated fats has been linked to insulin resistance. Several studies, a lot of research shows that it is true. Eating processed foods with high carbohydrate and fat content is not the only factor that contributes to developing insulin resistance and later on type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance can be caused by a wide variety of factors, for example, inherited and epigenetic factors, which include things like diet and exercise, smoking, drinking. Okay, let's quickly change the subject now. Now, as someone who's ethnically Indian, I love sweets. It's culture that after every meal we have something sweet. whether this be mithai, chocolates, ice cream, or literally anything I could get my hands on. Now, doing this has become so habitual for me, it's part of my daily routine, and quite frankly, I'm now starting to realise that it's quite detrimental for my health. Now, ever since I joined medical school at university, where I've been cooking for myself, eating out quite a lot, about 2 months ago, the nature of my diet has changed drastically for the worse. I'm sure my mother's watching this video concerned, and well, I have realised that I've been consuming more carbohydrates, fats and sugars, and as a result I've started to feel a lot more tired all the time. I have trouble going to sleep, I have a lot more stomach pain. This is very real, it happens literally on a daily basis. I'm the only person to blame for it. I feel more ill regularly, and all of these symptoms that I've just described are very much consistent with research-backed evidence. Sugar is addictive in nature. Once we have it, we cannot get enough of it. At least I can't. And that's because eating sugar releases opioids and dopamine in our bodies. This is the link between added sugar and addictive behavior. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is a key part of the reward circuit. Now, the reward circuit, in simple terms, is associated with addictive behavior. As you have more sugar, you release more dopamine, and that makes you feel good. Now, I'm someone that really wants to live a good quality, healthy, happy and long life, and maybe you do too, and I hope you do. And when I realised that people from Black, African, Caribbean and South Asian countries, for example India, Pakistan, Bangladesh backgrounds, we have a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes from a younger age, I was concerned when I learnt about this. Research has shown that there are several risk factors linked to developing diabetes and countless other heart problems and diseases, some that you can manage and others that you can't. Now, the factors that we can manage, the aspects of our life that we do have absolute control over, such as our diet, our exercise, we can take more control over these things. And so for the next 30 days, I will not be having any chocolate, no ice creams, no fizzy drinks, none of that. Now, quitting sugar for me does not entail not having carbohydrates at all, because you need them. You need carbohydrates to, perform day-to-day activities. From carbohydrates, from glucose, you get the energy you need to do literally everything you do in the day. But for the next 30 days, wherever I can, I will replace carb-heavy content with healthier food. I will achieve this by, for example, having more fiber in my meals, avoid eating fast food more often, having more protein, and greatly limiting my consumption of processed meals. This is true, I will be doing this. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I've wanted to do it for a really long time, and making this video will really force me to do it. Now, of course, having no sugar whatsoever is silly. It tastes good, donuts and ice creams are amazing, we all know that. But for me, this is about discipline. By cancelling out added and free sugar from my diet for 1 whole month, I believe I will have gained the ability to resist the insatiable urge that I have to consume copious amounts of sugar after the 30 days end. And when these 30 days end, on the 18th of December 2023, I will give all of you a thorough update on how quitting sugar for this prolonged period of time has changed my life. Now, lastly, if you want to join into the fun, feel free to give up sugar with me for these 30 days. Let's see if it helps you as well. Now, just before we quit, I'm gonna have one last... No, actually, you know what? I will not. I will not have one last chocolate. I will not have added sugar for next 30 days, I swear. Anyway, it's never too late to improve your health and well-being. The whole point of this video is to promote healthy well-being and healthy eating. So if you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it a like and subscribing. It will really mean a lot to me. Until then, goodbye. I'll see you in the next one.